In the quiet village of Oloran, where the red earth met the tall palm trees and children's laughter often echoed across the fields, life moved in rhythm with the sun. At dawn, the roosters crowed, women swept the compounds, and men prepared their tools for farm work. In the afternoons, the children marched in groups to the village school, their bare feet pattering against the dusty path as they carried their slates, books, and dreams. The school itself stood tall on the edge of the market square, a simple building with wide windows that allowed the wind to sweep in. It was a place of learning, laughter, and chatter. Every child longed to be seen in class, to answer a question correctly, and to impress teacher Bamadil, who was known for his stern face but warm heart. Children competed to sit in the front rows, hoping to catch his attention, to be chosen to read aloud, or to be praised when they solved sums on the blackboard. But among all the noisy and playful children, there was one girl who never joined them, Abani. She was small and thin, with eyes too big for her face. While others ran to secure a place in the front, Abani always slipped silently to the back corner of the classroom. She sat alone, clutching her bag tightly on her lap as though it was her only friend. She never laughed with the other children. She never raised her hand to answer questions. She never even smiled. Her classmates whispered about her. Why does she always sit there? She doesn't even play during break. Maybe she's cursed. Sometimes they would tease her, tugging at her old uniform, but she never reacted. She only tightened her grip on her bag and kept her eyes down. What made it stranger was the bag itself. It was old, torn at the corners, and always seemed heavy. Abani never let it out of her sight. Even during break, when other children left their bags carelessly on the desks, Abani carried hers around like a shadow. She would sit under the mango tree behind the schoolyard, eating her lunch alone, bag pressed against her side. The teachers noticed, of course, but they never asked too many questions. Children were children, they thought. Some were shy. Some were strange. As long as she attended school and did her work, what harm was there? But teacher Bamadil, who had seen many children grow under his care, felt something different. He often watched her, wondering why she avoided others. One day after lessons he approached her. "Abani," he said kindly, "why do you always sit at the back?" She looked up, her eyes darting nervously, then shook her head and whispered, "I just like it there." But her trembling hands told another story. That evening, as the sun melted into gold and the schoolyard emptied, Abani lingered behind as usual. She walked slowly, her bag bouncing heavily at her side. Teacher Bamadil, locking up the classroom, noticed her dragging her steps. For a moment, he thought of calling her back, of asking her about the bag. But then he stopped himself. Perhaps it was nothing. Perhaps the child was just protecting her belongings. Still, something gnawed at him. The days passed, and Abani's pattern never changed. She arrived before everyone, went straight to the back, and sat in silence. The only time her face seemed alive was when her hand slid into her bag. Then her eyes softened, and her lips curved almost into a smile, before she quickly covered it with her palm. It was this strange devotion to the bag that kept the children's whispers alive. Soon stories spread through the school. Some said the bag contained charms. Others swore they saw it move, as if something inside was alive. A few claimed they heard a faint sound like a low hum whenever Abani clutched it tight. The gossip grew louder. Children stopped sitting near her. Even the bravest avoided the back corner of the class. Parents began to complain too. "What kind of child carries secrets to school?" they muttered in the market. One hot afternoon, the tension reached a boiling point. Class had just begun, and the children were restless. Teacher Bamadil stood at the front, writing sums on the blackboard. Suddenly, a shrill cry broke out. "The bag moved!" shouted one of the boys. All eyes turned to Abani, who pressed the bag against her chest, her face pale with fear. "Sit down, all of you," Teacher Bamadil barked, trying to calm the storm of whispers. But even he could not ignore the way Abani shook, as though guarding something precious and forbidden. The room fell silent. Every child stared. Abani's knuckles turned white from clutching the straps. For the first time she looked cornered, trapped like a bird in a cage. And that was when Teacher Bamadil, his curiosity burning and his duty as guardian heavy on his shoulders, stepped forward. He reached out and placed a firm hand on the bag. "Abony," he said softly but firmly. "Let me see what you're hiding." The girl froze. Her lips parted as though she wanted to beg, but no words came. Slowly, carefully, the teacher tugged at the bag. At first she resisted, her small hands trembling. But he was stronger, and at last the bag slipped free. The classroom held its breath. He opened the flap. And then Teacher Bamadil screamed. The scream pierced through the classroom like a blade. The children leapt to their feet, desks rattling, slates falling to the ground. Some rushed toward the door, others huddled together, their eyes wide with terror. Even the usually fearless boys who loved to make noise were trembling. Teacher Bamadil stumbled back, his face pale, his chest heaving. The bag had fallen to the floor, its contents spilling just enough for everyone to catch a glimpse. Whatever was inside was not what anyone expected. Abony let out a desperate cry and threw herself to the ground, grabbing the bag and pulling it close. She pressed it against her chest, rocking back and forth as though the world had suddenly turned against her. Tears streamed down her face, though she kept her eyes fixed firmly on the floor. What is this?" Teacher Bamadil whispered, still shaken. His voice trembled, not in anger, but in disbelief. The children shouted all at once. "Is it Juju? Did you see that? She is a witch." The noise grew wild until Teacher Bamadil banged his ruler against the desk. "Quiet," he roared. His voice echoed through the room, silencing the children, though fear still hung thick in the air. He looked at Abony again. She was still holding the bag, trembling like a trapped bird. His heart softened slightly, but he could not ignore what he saw. "Abony," he said in a gentler tone, "you must tell me the truth. What are you hiding in that bag?" Her lips parted, but no sound came. The room was silent now, except for the heavy beating of many hearts. Finally she whispered, so softly that only those nearest could hear. It's not what you think." But before Teacher Bamadil could press her further, the bell for break rang. Children poured out of the classroom, rushing into the schoolyard, their voices rising like a storm. By the time the teacher stepped outside, the news had already spread like wildfire. "Something terrible is in Abony's bag," the children screamed. Some ran to the market square to tell their mothers. Others darted toward the headmaster's office, shouting, "You must come quickly. You must see." Within minutes, the whole school was buzzing. Teachers abandoned their lessons, parents arrived from the nearby market, and the headmaster himself came hurrying with his long cane in hand. He was a stern man, known for his deep voice and serious face. "What is this nonsense?" the headmaster barked as he stepped into the classroom, the crowd pressing in behind him. His eyes swept the room until they landed on Abony, who sat hunched in the back, clutching the bag as though her life depended on it. "Teacher Bamadil," the headmaster said, "explain yourself. What did you see?" The teacher hesitated. He glanced at Abony, then back at the headmaster. "I cannot explain it fully," he admitted. "But I know what I saw was not ordinary." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Parents shook their heads, children whispered behind their hands, and even the other teachers leaned in with curiosity. The headmaster turned his sharp eyes on Abony. "Child, bring that bag here." "No," Abony cried, shaking her head furiously. Please don't make me. Do you dare disobey me?" the headmaster thundered. He raised his cane and the crowd gasped. But before he could strike, Teacher Bamadil stepped forward. "Headmaster," he said firmly, "let me handle this. The girl is frightened. Beating her will only make things worse." The headmaster frowned, but after a moment, he lowered his cane. "Very well," he muttered. "But the truth must come out today." The crowd pressed closer, eager to see. Some children climbed onto desks for a better view. Ebony clutched her bag tighter, her knuckles white, her body trembling. It was as though she was holding back a flood that, once released, could never be controlled again. Teacher Bamadil knelt beside her. His voice softened, almost like a father's. Ebony, you are not alone. We are not here to harm you. But we must know the truth. If you carry something dangerous, we cannot ignore it. If it is something else, you must trust us to help you. Her lips quivered. For a long moment she said nothing. Then slowly she raised her tear-streaked face. Her eyes, red and tired, met his. You won't understand, she whispered. Nobody will. Try us, the teacher urged gently. You owe it to yourself. And you owe it to this community. Ebony's breath came in shaky bursts. She glanced at the headmaster, at the teachers, at the curious faces of her classmates. Then she looked back at Teacher Bamadil. Finally, with trembling fingers, she loosened her grip on the bag. The crowd held its breath. But just as she was about to open it, a strange sound filled the room. A faint rustle, followed by a soft, eerie cry from inside the bag. The children screamed. Some ran out, others hid behind their desks. Even the headmaster took a step back. The sound came again, louder this time. It was not the cry of a baby, nor the squeak of an animal. It was something in between, unnatural, haunting, and impossible to ignore. Ebony's tears fell harder. I told you, she whispered. You won't understand. And then, before anyone could stop her, she clutched the bag tight against her chest, bolted to her feet, and ran out of the classroom. The crowd erupted into chaos. The headmaster shouted for her to be caught. Children screamed her name. Teachers tried to push through the crowd. But Ebony was already gone, her small frame darting into the bush path behind the school, the strange cries from her bag echoing faintly as she vanished from sight. The whole school stood frozen, their hearts pounding, their curiosity and fear burning brighter than ever. What was in that bag? The schoolyard boiled with panic. Children ran in all directions shouting, She's gone into the bush! She's gone into the bush! Parents held onto their little ones tightly, as if the strange cries from Ebony's bag could leap out and infect the air. The headmaster's voice roared above the chaos. Silence! Everyone, silence! But there was no silence. Fear had taken hold of every heart. The bush path behind the school was not an ordinary path. It was thick with shrubs, winding through tall palm trees and creeping vines. Children often avoided it, whispering about spirits that lingered there at dusk. And now Ebony had vanished into it, with that haunting sound trailing behind her. Teacher Bamadil wasted no time. He pushed through the crowd, his face stern, his chest heavy with worry. Stay here, he commanded the others. I will go after her. Wait, the headmaster barked. Don't be foolish. What if she carries a curse? What if it is witchcraft she hides? But Teacher Bamadil shook his head. She is only a child. And no matter what she carries, she must not face it alone. The headmaster frowned but said nothing more. He was not the type to enter the bush for a child's secrets. So Teacher Bamadil followed the path. The air was heavy, the bush alive with the hum of insects. His sandals crunched on the dry leaves as he called. Ebony! Ebony, come back. No one will harm you. Please, child, let me help you. First there was only silence. Then came the faint sound, the same strange cry that had shaken the classroom. He froze, his heart pounding. The sound rose and fell, echoing through the trees. Was it the cry of a living thing? Or something else entirely? He pressed on, his steps quickening. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he saw her. Ebony sat on a fallen log, clutching her bag tight, rocking back and forth. Her face was streaked with tears, her lips moving silently as though whispering to whatever was inside. Ebony! Teacher Bamadil said softly, stepping closer. She jumped, her eyes wide, but when she saw it was him, her shoulders slumped. You shouldn't have followed me, she whispered. I had to, he replied. I cannot leave you alone with whatever it is you are hiding. Tell me, child, What is in that bag? Her eyes darted to the bag, then back to him. You'll be afraid. Everyone will be afraid. They'll say I'm cursed. I am not afraid of you, Teacher Bamadil said firmly. But secrets this heavy will crush you. Let me share the weight. She stared at him for a long time. Then, slowly, with trembling hands, she opened the flap of the bag. Teacher Bamadil leaned forward, bracing himself. Inside, nestled in torn cloth, was a small creature. Its skin was pale, almost glowing, its eyes too large for its face. It let out that same haunting cry as it squirmed weakly. It was neither fully human nor fully animal. Something in between. Something that should not have been. Teacher Bamadil gasped. His knees nearly buckled. What is this?" he whispered. Abony's tears spilled again. "It's my brother," she said. "My baby brother." The teacher's mouth fell open. "Your brother?" She nodded, clutching the bag tighter. "He was born like this. The elders called him an abomination. They told my mother to throw him into the river. But she couldn't. She gave him to me and told me to hide him to keep him safe. Then she died. Now I am all he has." Teacher Bamadil's heart twisted. The weight of her loneliness, her silence, her strange behavior, all of it suddenly made sense. She wasn't carrying witchcraft. She was carrying love. But before he could speak, the bushes behind them rustled. Voices carried through the trees. The villagers had followed, led by the headmaster, their faces hard with suspicion. There she is," someone shouted. "Catch her before she escapes." Abony's eyes widened in terror. She pressed the bag to her chest and staggered to her feet. "They'll take him away," she cried. "They'll kill him." "No, wait," Teacher Bamadil called, raising his hands. But it was too late. The villagers had seen the strange creature writhing in her arms. Gasps and screams filled the air. Some men raised sticks. Mothers clutched their children closer. "It is a spirit child," one cried. "It will bring curses on the village," another shouted. "Take it away before it destroys us all." The crowd surged forward. Abony held her brother tighter, her small frame shaking with fear. "Please," she begged Teacher Bamadil, her voice breaking. "Don't let them take him." The teacher's heart pounded. He stood between the girl and the angry villagers, arms spread wide. "Stop," he shouted. "No one will touch her." But the villagers pressed closer, their fear turning to anger. And in that moment Teacher Bamadil realized. He would have to choose. Would he protect the child that everyone feared? Or would he hand her over to preserve peace in the village? The decision burned in his chest, and the crowd waited, ready to strike. The villagers' voices rose like thunder in the thick bush. Some shouted for fire. Others demanded the bag be taken and burned before the spirit child inside brought misfortune. Mothers covered their children's eyes, and fathers gripped their cutlasses tightly, as if preparing for battle against something unseen. Abony clutched the creature closer to her chest, trembling so violently that it seemed she might collapse. Her tear-filled eyes darted between the angry crowd and Teacher Bamadil. "Please," she whispered again. "Don't let them hurt him. He has done nothing wrong." The teacher felt his breath grow shallow. The fear of the villagers was like a living thing, pressing against his skin. But he also felt the desperate love of this small girl, who had carried her secret day after day, protecting a life no one else wanted. Raising his hands high, he stepped forward. His voice boomed with authority. "Stop, all of you." The crowd paused, though their eyes still burned with suspicion. The headmaster, sweat gleaming on his bald head, pushed to the front. "Teacher Bamadil," he barked, "stand aside. That is no ordinary child. It is an abomination. The elders' law is clear. Such things must not live among us." "Law or no law," the teacher replied firmly, "this is still a child. Look at Abony. Look at her tears. Would you have her suffer even more loss? Would you kill her only family left?" Murmurs rippled through the villagers. Some lowered their sticks, uncertain. Others shook their heads. Fear and pity battled in their hearts. The headmaster sneered. Do not let his words fool you. Do you not hear the cries of the thing? Do you not see its unnatural face? It will bring ruin. Crops will fail. Children will fall sick. If we allow it to live, we curse ourselves. The villagers nodded uneasily, emboldened again. Yes, he speaks truth. Someone cried. No! Shouted another voice from the back. All heads turned. It was Mama Iriti, the oldest woman in the village, her back bent with age but her eyes still sharp as a hawk's. She pushed through the crowd with her walking stick tapping the ground. This child carries no curse, she said slowly. I have seen spirit children before. Some bring harm, yes. But others are blessings hidden in strange forms. The crowd stirred with confusion. Blessings? The headmaster scoffed. You call that thing a blessing? Mama Iriti nodded. You forget our ancestors' stories. Sometimes the gods test us. They send us children who look different, to see if we will show kindness or cruelty. If we cast them away, misfortune follows. If we show compassion, our community prospers. Her words silenced the crowd for a moment. Fear still lingered, but now doubt mixed with it. Teacher Bamadil seized the moment. Listen to her. You all know Abani. Quiet, harmless, never troubling anyone. She sat alone all this time, not because she was wicked, but because she carried a burden too heavy for her age. She has shown more courage and love than many of us here. Should we now repay her with cruelty? Abani sniffled, her small arms wrapped protectively around the bundle. The creature whimpered again, its voice weak but not frightening now, almost like a human baby crying for comfort. For the first time, some villagers stepped closer, not in anger but in curiosity. One woman whispered, "It is small and weak. It does not look dangerous." Another man muttered, "What if it truly is a test from the gods?" But just as the tension seemed to ease, a shrill cry split the air, not from the creature, but from one of the boys at the edge of the crowd. He pointed toward the sky. Look! All heads turned. Dark clouds had gathered suddenly, heavy and swirling, though the sun had shone bright only moments before. The wind whipped through the trees, bending the branches low. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The villagers gasped. "The spirits are angry," someone shouted. "They want us to destroy it." "No," Mama Iriti countered, raising her staff. "This is the test I spoke of. The gods are watching. If we harm the child, the storm will punish us all." The wind howled louder, scattering leaves across the ground. The villagers screamed, torn between fear of the storm and fear of the child. Teacher Bamadil turned to Abani, who looked up at him with wide, desperate eyes. "What do we do?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The teacher swallowed hard. He had never faced a trial like this before. The fate of a girl, her strange brother, and perhaps the entire village now hung in his hands. And as the storm grew darker, one truth became clear. He would have to choose not only with his mind, but with his heart. The storm roared above the village schoolyard, wind whipping through the trees, thunder growling like an angry beast. The villagers huddled together, torn between fear of the strange child in Abani's arms and fear of the heavens that seemed to watch their every move. Abani held the bag tightly to her chest, shielding her little brother with her small body. Her eyes darted from the sky to the villagers, her lips trembling. "They'll kill him," she whispered to Teacher Bamadil. "Please, please don't let them." The teacher's chest tightened. He looked from the frightened girl to the angry faces of the villagers, then to the old woman, Mama Iriti, who still stood firm with her staff. In his heart, he knew this moment was no ordinary quarrel. This was a test, not just for him but for the entire village. The headmaster, voice sharp with fear and anger, raised his cane. "We waste time. The storm itself speaks. This thing must be destroyed." He pointed at Abani's bundle. "Hand it over now." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Some men stepped forward, their hands gripping cutlasses. But Mama Iriti slammed her staff against the ground with surprising force. "Fools," she cried. "You think the gods will bless you for shedding innocent blood? You think lightning will spare you when your hands are stained with cruelty?" The wind shrieked louder as if her words were carried into the sky. Teacher Bamadil's mind raced. He had to act quickly, or the crowd's fear would swallow them all. He turned to Abani and whispered urgently, "If you trust me, show them. Show them the truth of what you carry." Her eyes widened in horror. "No, they'll only hurt him." "They won't," he said firmly. "Not if I stand with you. Not if they see with their own eyes that he is only a child." Abani shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. But then the bundle in her arms stirred. The creature let out a soft whimper, a sound so fragile, so human, that even those nearest in the crowd froze. For a moment the storm seemed to hush. Slowly, trembling, Abani loosened the cloth. The bundle unfolded, revealing the strange child. His skin was pale, glowing faintly in the dim light. His eyes wide and unblinking. He reached out a tiny hand, grasping weakly at the air. His cry was not fierce, not monstrous, but pitiful, like a baby longing to be held. Gasps swept through the villagers. Some covered their mouths. Others lowered their weapons. He is not a demon," one woman whispered. "But look at his face," another muttered. "He is not normal." "Normal or not," Mama Iriti said firmly. "He breathes. He cries. He clings to his sister with love. That is no curse. That is life." The headmaster's face twisted in frustration. "Do not be deceived. These things bring sickness, famine, death. Have we not heard the stories? Will you risk all our lives for pity?" The crowd stirred again, torn between fear and compassion. Teacher Bamadil stepped forward, his voice carrying over the storm. "Listen to yourselves. You fear what you do not understand. But has this child harmed anyone? Has he brought disaster since Abani has kept him hidden? Well, the only thing he has known is rejection. The only thing he has received is his sister's love. Will you now turn against her too?" Silence fell. The villagers shifted uneasily. The storm above rumbled but did not break. And then, from somewhere in the crowd, a farmer spoke. "If the gods meant to curse us, would we not already see the signs? My crops grow tall this year. My goats are fat. My children are healthy." Another villager nodded. "It is true. Misfortune has not touched us." The headmaster's eyes darted around, realizing he was losing his grip on the people. His voice rose again, desperate. "Today may be fine, but tomorrow the curse will come. Mark my words." Crack! A blinding flash of lightning split the sky. The villagers screamed, scattering back in terror. A bolt struck a nearby palm tree, splitting it in half. The smell of smoke filled the air. The storm was no longer waiting. "The gods are angry," someone cried. "We must decide now." The villagers turned again toward Abani, torn between fear and faith. Abani's tears dripped onto her brother's tiny face. She looked up at Teacher Bamadil, voice breaking. "What if they're right? What if he really does bring curses? What if I've been wrong to protect him?" The teacher knelt beside her, his voice steady even as thunder rolled above. "Abani, love is never wrong. Whatever he may be, you have shown courage. That is what the gods see. That is what will save us." But even as he spoke, the headmaster raised his cane once more, shouting above the storm. "Enough! If you will not destroy it, then I will." He stepped forward, his cane raised high, ready to strike down the fragile child in Abani's arms. The villagers gasped. Abani screamed. Teacher Bamadil lunged forward. And at that very moment, the creature opened its mouth and released a sound no one had ever heard before. It was not a cry, it was a voice, a clear, echoing voice that rang through the storm. "Do not harm me. I am sent for your blessing." The entire village froze. Even the storm seemed to hold its breath. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Every heart froze. The villagers, who only a moment ago were ready to strike, stumbled back in shock. Even the headmaster's cane dropped from his trembling hands and clattered against the earth. Abony's brother, this small, fragile, strange-looking child, had spoken. His voice was not like that of a baby, but strong and echoing like a wind blowing through a hollow gourd. Did you hear that?" a woman gasped, clutching her chest. "It spoke," a young man shouted. "By the heavens, the spirit spoke." Some fell to their knees. Others covered their ears. Fear and awe rippled through the crowd like waves on the river. Abony herself looked stunned. She stared at her brother, her tears frozen on her cheeks. You spoke," she whispered, as if she couldn't believe her ears. The small creature turned its large eyes toward her, then toward the crowd. And again, in that clear, ringing voice, it said, "Do not harm me. I bring no curse. I bring only a test." The villagers gasped again. Mama Iriti leaned heavily on her staff, her eyes wide but shining with recognition. Yes, I knew it. This is no ordinary child. This is a messenger. A child of the spirits, sent to test our hearts. But the headmaster, though shaken, was not convinced. His face twisted with anger. "Trickery," he spat. "This is the devil's tongue. Do not be fooled, people. Destroy it before it deceives us further." The villagers hesitated. Fear still tugged at their hearts, but doubt crept in. Some whispered, "Could it truly be a blessing?" Others muttered, "But the headmaster may be right. What if it tricks us?" The storm overhead crackled with tension. Lightning flashed, thunder boomed, but still no rain fell. It was as though the heavens themselves waited for the villagers' choice. Abony, clutching her brother, looked at teacher Bamadil with desperate eyes. "Please," she begged. "Don't let them take him. He's all I have." The teacher swallowed hard. His voice, steady but heavy with the weight of the moment, rang out over the crowd. "Villagers of Oloran, you must open your eyes. This is not a curse. This is a child who speaks with wisdom beyond his age. Have you not heard the old tales? The gods often hide blessings in what looks strange to us. If we act with fear, we destroy ourselves. If we act with love, we prosper." But the headmaster shouted back, "You speak like a fool, Bamadil. If you care more for this strange thing than for your people, then you betray us all." He turned to the villagers. "Who will follow me? Who will rid us of this abomination?" For a moment, the crowd swayed between two voices, compassion and fear. Then something happened that shook them further. The strange child lifted its hand, tiny fingers glowing faintly, and pointed toward the split palm tree that had been struck by lightning. Slowly, before the eyes of all, the tree began to mend. The broken halves leaned toward each other, the bark knitting, the smoke fading, until the palm stood tall again, whole, alive, and bearing fresh green leaves. The villagers gasped. Some fell to their knees. "A miracle!" someone shouted. "Did you see? The spirit child healed the tree." The headmaster staggered back, his face pale. No, this cannot be." But the people no longer listened to him. Their fear melted into awe. Mothers who once shielded their children now stepped closer, staring at the glowing boy with wonder. Fathers lowered their weapons. Murmurs filled the air. "It healed the tree. It is not a curse, it is a blessing." The old woman was right. Mama Iriti lifted her staff high. "Let it be known. The gods have sent us a test, and the child has shown his power. If we accept him, Oloran will prosper. If we reject him, ruin will fall." The storm above rumbled again, lightning flashing one last time before the clouds slowly began to drift apart. A golden light broke through, shining directly on Abony and her brother as though the heavens themselves approved. The villagers bowed their heads in awe. Some even wept. But the headmaster, his pride broken, his authority slipping, trembled with rage. He could not bear to see the people turn from him to a child. His hand gripped the fallen cane tightly. His eyes blazed. "If they will not destroy you," he hissed under his breath, staring at Ebony's brother, "then I will." He raised the cane high again, ready to strike in secret. But at that very moment, the strange child turned its glowing eyes directly on him and spoke in a voice that shook the earth. "You will not harm me. Your greed has been seen." The ground trembled. The villagers gasped. The headmaster froze in place, his body stiff, his cane suspended in midair. And then, before everyone's eyes, he collapsed to the ground. People screamed. Some ran forward. Others stumbled back. The headmaster lay still, his cane rolling away, his face pale as chalk. The village was silent except for the soft whimper of the strange child in Ebony's arms. Ebony clutched her brother tighter, her eyes wide with fear. She looked at Teacher Bamadil, her voice trembling. Did he kill him? The villagers turned to the teacher, desperate for answers. And for the first time, even Teacher Bamadil did not know what to say. The schoolyard was so quiet that even the birds in the trees seemed to hold their song. All eyes were fixed on the headmaster's body lying in the dust, motionless. His cane lay beside him, a powerless stick now. Some villagers whispered in trembling voices, "Is he dead? The spirit child struck him down." No, maybe it was the gods. Fear and awe mixed in the air like smoke. Ebony clutched her brother closer, tears filling her eyes. She had begged only for protection, but now she feared the worst. She turned to Teacher Bamadil. "I didn't want anyone to die," she whispered. "I just wanted him safe." The teacher laid a steady hand on her shoulder. His heart was heavy, but his voice was calm. "Peace, child. This is no curse of yours. The gods deal with men's pride as they see fit." Mama Iriti stepped forward, her old frame bent but her voice strong. She leaned on her staff and said, "Hear me, people of Oloran. This man fell not because of the child, but because of his own greed and hatred. Did you not hear the spirit's words? His sin was seen." The villagers nodded uneasily. Some even murmured prayers, asking forgiveness for ever doubting. Just then the headmaster groaned. Gasps rippled through the crowd. He was not dead. Slowly, shakily he turned his head. His lips moved and though faint his voice carried, "Forgive me." Then his eyes fluttered shut again. The villagers exhaled in relief. Some bent to lift him, others fetched water. The tension softened, but the awe of what had just happened lingered in every heart. All eyes turned to the strange child in Ebony's arms. His glow had dimmed, and now he looked no more threatening than any weak infant. His tiny fingers curled into her torn uniform as he whimpered softly. Teacher Bamadil raised his hands to the crowd. "This child is no demon. You have seen with your own eyes. He heals, he speaks wisdom, and he reveals truth. He is a gift. But a gift we must choose to accept." Mama Iriti nodded. "If we reject him now, the gods will surely punish us. If we welcome him, our harvests will multiply, our children will thrive." The villagers murmured among themselves. Fear still clung, but wonder now outweighed it. Slowly voices rose. "Let him stay. Protect him. He belongs here." The crowd shifted from suspicion to acceptance. Ebony's face lit with a flicker of hope, the first true smile she had shown in a long time. But not everyone was at peace. A group of young men muttered at the edge of the crowd. "It may be a test," one said darkly. "But what if tomorrow he brings disaster? Can we risk all our lives for one child?" Another spat on the ground. "I will never trust that thing." Though they did not act openly, their eyes burned with doubt and resentment. Teacher Bamadil noticed but said nothing yet. He knew every blessing brought its trial, and not all hearts would be easily swayed. The villagers decided to carry the headmaster to his home, leaving Teacher Bamadil, Mama Iriti, Ebony, and her brother by the schoolyard. The storm clouds had scattered, the sky now glowing with the soft orange of evening. The earth smelled fresh, cleansed by lightning though no rain had fallen. Ebony sat on a bench, cradling her brother gently. For the first time she did not sit alone. Teacher Bamadil stood beside her, and Mama Iriti hummed a soft chant, an ancient song of protection. But just as peace began to settle, the boy stirred again. His glowing eyes opened wide, and his strange voice rang out once more. This is not the end. Danger still waits. You must be ready. Ebony froze. Teacher Bamadil leaned in. What danger? He asked. But the child only closed his eyes again and went silent. The teacher's chest tightened. He looked at Mama Iriti, whose face had grown grave. The boy speaks truth, she said softly. The greatest trials always come after the first light of hope. We must prepare. The night air grew cooler. Shadows stretched long across the ground. And somewhere in the distance beyond the schoolyard, the faint sound of drums began to echo, a rhythm that did not belong to any village celebration. The people of Oloran would soon learn that accepting a blessing often meant inviting a greater test. The night deepened quickly, the last rays of the sun swallowed by a blanket of darkness. The villagers had retreated to their homes, whispering nervously about the spirit child and the storm. But the uneasy beat of drums still carried across the hills, slow, heavy, and ominous. Ebony sat under the mango tree near the school, cradling her brother. He looked peaceful now, his glow dimmed, breathing softly as if nothing unusual had happened. Yet his earlier words echoed in every heart. Danger still waits. Teacher Bamadil paced restlessly, his ears straining to catch the rhythm of the drums. Mama Iriti sat with her staff across her knees, her old eyes gleaming in the firelight. At last, a messenger from the edge of the village ran in breathless. Strangers are coming, he cried. Men from the neighboring town. They carry weapons and they march toward us. The villagers gathered again, fear rippling like a wave. What do they want? Someone asked. The messenger's face was pale. They said they have heard of the spirit child born in Oloran. They claim he does not belong to us, that they have come to take him away. Ebony clutched her brother tighter, her voice trembling. No, they cannot take him. He is mine. He is all I have left. The villagers murmured in confusion and fear. Some wondered if giving up the child would spare them conflict. Others argued fiercely that he must stay, for the gods had clearly chosen their village. Teacher Bamadil's voice rang out above the noise. People of Oloran, this is the danger the child spoke of. We must decide. Will we surrender him out of fear, or will we stand together and protect what is ours? Mama Iriti struck her staff on the ground. Do not be cowards. The gods gave us this child. If we betray him now, we betray ourselves. But before the debate could continue, the strangers appeared at the edge of the square, tall, strong men with spears gleaming in the torchlight. Their leader, a broad-shouldered man with scarred cheeks, stepped forward. People of Oloran, he thundered, we have come for the spirit child. Hand him over, and no harm will come to you. Refuse, and we will take him by force. The villagers trembled. Ebony's sobs broke the silence. Please, she begged, looking at Teacher Bamadil. Don't let them take him. The teacher stepped forward, heart pounding. He is not yours to take, he declared. The gods sent him here. He belongs with us. The strangers laughed. Then you defy us. So be it. They raised their weapons, ready to strike. The villagers shrieked in terror. Some scrambled for cover. But before blood could be shed, the strange child stirred in Ebony's arms. His glow returned, brighter than before, bathing the entire square in golden light. His eyes opened wide, and his voice rang out, stronger than ever. Enough. No more violence. The strangers froze, their spears trembling in their hands. The villagers held their breath. The child lifted one tiny hand toward the strangers. The ground beneath them trembled, and their weapons slipped from their grasp, falling harmlessly to the earth. Then, with his other hand, he gestured toward the villagers, and a warm, gentle breeze swept through the square, calming their fear. The leader of the strangers fell to his knees, his scarred face pale with awe. "Forgive us," he whispered. "We did not know. We did not understand." The child's voice softened. "You sought to take me by force, but I was not sent for war. I was sent for peace. Go back to your land, and remember this. Power is not for greed, but for love." The strangers bowed their heads. Without another word, they gathered their weapons and retreated into the night, their footsteps fading until only silence remained. The villagers erupted in relief. Cries of joy and awe filled the air. "The gods are with us," they shouted. "The child is truly a blessing." Abony wept softly, holding her brother close. Teacher Bamadil laid a comforting hand on her shoulder. Mama Iriti lifted her staff high. "Let it be known, this child has saved us all. From this day, no one shall call him cursed. He is a gift, and Abony, his protector, is blessed among us." The people cheered, their fear finally replaced with pride and gratitude. For the first time, Abony was not the lonely girl at the back of the class. She was the girl who had carried love when others carried fear, the one who had been chosen to shield a blessing no one else could see. The strange child nestled deeper in her arms, his glow fading once more as he drifted into sleep. He no longer seemed strange, no longer seemed frightening, only precious. That night, as the villagers celebrated, Teacher Bamadil stood quietly, watching Abony smile through her tears. He knew the journey had not been easy, but harmony had been restored. The test had been passed. And so, the people of Oloran learned a lesson they would never forget. Do not reject what looks different. Sometimes the strangest gifts carry the greatest blessings.